Unfortunately, the same thing is happening in Tibet today. When you ask the Chinese government why colonial-style boarding schools in Tibet, and they point out to Canada and say, what did Canada do to its First Nation people, or the Americans with the natives, or the Australians with the Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders, or the New Zealanders with the Maoris, and even Sami people in the Scandinavian region. So what they say and what they mean is they know what these countries did, and now they are deliberately, knowingly doing it to the Tibetans to eradicate our language, our identity, all our language and religion, which forms a bedrock of Tibetan identity. And I also want to leave you with this thought that some of my friends say the dragon is biting at us. So I tell them, dragon at one time was very weak. Who made the dragon so powerful to be able to bite at you? It's the United States, it's the European Union, it's Japan, it's Taiwan. All the countries who have been involved in making China for what it's today. But now, knowing that the dragon is biting at you, if you still keep feeding the dragon, then whose fault is it? I think there are plans for recalibration of relations with China by the Canadian government and improved trade relations. But if you look at the 2024 numbers, then you can see that the total trade of 87 billion, Canada exports only 30 billion and imports 57 billion. So you have a trade deficit, huge trade deficit, 87 billion. So you have a trade deficit of 57 billion with the Chinese. And with improved trade relations, now you will have to watch whether you are going to buy more from China or you're going to sell more to China, which is beneficial to Canada, not buying more from China and enriching China to carry out all the things they have been doing with Belt and Road initiatives, creating debt economies, and exacerbating the whole political situation in the region. Because of China's activities, defense expenses of all the countries in the region have increased. So China should take responsibility for this and stop its hegemonistic and colonial mindset and give freedom to its people. And in this 21st century, everybody should be able to live in dignity and in freedom, and that's all we are asking for through the middle way. We are not asking for independence or separation from China, but we are willing to live with the Chinese people. We have lived with the Chinese for centuries, and there's nobody that we can appeal to. The UN is the most undemocratic institution in the world. It cannot implement its own resolutions. That is why we reach out to governments like Canada, whose foreign policy pillars are based on Canada's security, prosperity, and values.
Freedom, and I want to add my voice to the call for respecting the religious freedom of the Tibetan community and the ability of the Tibetan Buddhist community to autonomously make decisions about religious affairs, and that it is not the right or role of any government to dictate matters of religious succession, and that the Canadian government should reaffirm that in its own statements, that these should be decisions made autonomously by the Tibetan Buddhist community according to their own traditions and not be dictated to by the CCP. So,
the Tibetan Canadian communities in Canada have a rich, vibrant culture that is rooted in language, in food, in worship, in the very central role of His Holiness the Dalai Lama as a spiritual leader. And these residential schools are getting in the way of and really threatening Tibetan culture in the Tibetan Autonomous Region of China. And so I really support the Sikyong and his work to run, to be focusing attention on this issue. And
on September the 26th, the Chinese embassy hosted their celebration of China's National Day, which was yesterday, October the 1st. And I was quite surprised at the large Canadian delegation, well beyond the demands of protocol, that attended, including our current ambassador to Beijing, Jennifer May, and the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, David Morrison, and a large number of China people from GAC. I don't think we needed to be quite so celebratory as we were. The Chinese ambassador gave a standard speech about how it's important that whenever both sides stick to the principle of right perception, mutual respect, seeking common ground while putting aside differences and mutual benefit, the bilateral relations will move forward smooth and achieve fruitful outcomes. When the preceding code is not followed, the bilateral relations will take a blow or even derail. It sounds like a bit of a threat. Seeking common ground while putting aside difference, 求同存异, is a standard formula for China.
Here on Canadian soil, the CCP has sanctioned Dr. Burton and the CTA, and also Tibetans. This is yet another reminder of China's transnational repression here inside Canada.